What's going on, guys? I'm going to show you a live demo on doing the installation of Flexishield's Cosmetic paint protection film. It's a colored paint protection film. It comes in right now at 8mm. This is the Northern Lights. This is a brand new film. This is an ultra gloss film, so it's the highest gloss possible, basically on the market. It's going to give you all the benefits of paint protection film, which is self-healing, stone penetration, color depth, longevity, and that really nice gloss that you get with just clear paint protection film. Right now you can see that we've prepped the hood a little bit, so it's been wiped down. There's already PPF on it. There's already clear PPF on it. We're going to go right over top of it, so you might see a few imperfections that were there from another demo earlier. You'll see this haze on top of the hood right now. So right now the film is a high tack film. So this is going to make it a little bit more challenging to work with because you're going to be dealing with high spots on a flat hood like this, and it might seem simple, but there's a lot of high area where the film is just going to rest. When the film rests for a period of time, depending on how warm it is or how hot the surface is, it's going to begin to bind your air bubbles up. So they're going to get stuck. They're going to be kind of a threat, or they're going to be problems. Now, you don't want to move the film around too much when you do this. You want to move the film as little as possible. What this haze is on the surface is Flexishield's foam potion. So this is actually a slip solution, normally for clear PPF. You put this underneath and you spray it with a sprayer, but this we've actually put on a sponge and wipe it onto the surface. You want to typically stay about an inch away from your edges because you want the highest tack possible, obviously, around your edges. There is no need for adhesive promoters. I haven't applied anything on this. And so I'm going to show you how it installs on the large flat hood of this Porsche right now. I've already wet the sponge, so we're just going to show you how it applies. You want to get coverage. Basically, you want to fill in all square inches. If you leave a little box in here where it's not covered, that might be your problem area where you get stuck with a bubble, right? It's going to allow the film to lift more easily, so this creates an effect of ease of install, makes your life a lot easier. When you lift it, you also reduce chances of getting adhesive lines or lift lines. Great for a lot of high gloss films.
That goes from like red to copper
We'll just roll this out across the hood. This vehicle is not magnetic at all, so we're just going to tack down a corner. I usually tack the film down about an inch above the top corners, not too high up. The higher up we sit on the window. As you can see, the hood is also elevated. This allows access to the edges. It's nice when you can do that, so whenever you can make your life a little bit easier, I'm all for it. Try and tack it to the outside. We don't want to tack it to the inside. This reduces the chance of getting any lines from lifting the film up. Give yourself a few inches on both sides. This way you have enough to hold on to. I'm going to double check to make sure that I have enough on the other side again. And let's check our fronts. We've got a couple of inches there. With this being on a PET liner, you could trim this area away if you want to. Typically I wouldn't do that if you have a paper release liner because you're going to get dusting, and dusting can end up under your film looking like debris. So that's obviously not a good thing. I'm going to leave it on for now, and we're going to roll it right across so we're in a good position.
It's kind of like a sort of...
Keep the film tight. I'll try and place it down back to where it was. Try not to obviously crease it. So by keeping it flat and level like this, prevents creasing. This film actually comes with a cap sheet, so it's a hard cap sheet. It needs to be removed before you actually install. And that creates a lot of static when you remove it. So making sure your area is clean, dust-free, particle-free, very important. And then removing the release liner further creates even more static. So, thank you. Okay, we have no rhyme or reason for wrinkles right now. Who has a knife on them? Thank you. Static, he just shocked me, so. Find the edge of the hood, leave ourselves a couple of inches. We're going to trim some of this away. Okay, we're going to flatten the film out, so this way we have rhyme and reason to what we're doing. Right now we have no direction. Start whatever side you're comfortable on. You may have to go from one side to the other, depending on your skill and how lucky you get sometimes. But you can see the film lifts very nicely. It's been sitting here for a little bit. It lifts very nicely. Take it, pull it tight. I'm trying to find our high points. The high points will typically be around that body line right there and the other side. But again, you can see I can just move it around, right? Anyone who's used the film before will know that that's not usually possible. Try not to let things like that happen. So again, this is just a little demo, but again, it lifts very easily. So it's sticking pretty well on the outside. You'll notice that it's sticking heavy to the fender, stuck on there. We're going to apply the slip solution / tap reducer on it. It's stuck quite a bit. Let's get this side up. Let's try and make this a little nicer this time. Nice stuff underneath. There we go. It's okay. We're going to pull this nice and tight, spread it apart. Pull out to this corner. Here we go. I'll pull up to the front a little bit here. And I like to lift fairly quickly. I don't like to sit here and pull at the film. Lifting quickly prevents the film from stretching as you pull it, which can prevent lines as well. So we're trying to lift fairly quickly. And if your hands, as long as your hands are clean, you can put your hands underneath them. Obviously, there's a risk of getting a hair fold or something underneath it, but just make sure your hands feel clean. Good. Pulling out to the corners. Always pulling the opposite direction of the wrinkles. Oh, let's go back. Sometimes it's a little bit tricky when you reduce the tack because it doesn't stick when you want it to. All right? Now I can pull very hard. I'm doing a cold stretch, so the chances of overstretching are very unlikely. And generally I like to apply a little bit of any kind of spray onto the surface. It can be just water, a little bit of soapy water, some detail spray, whatever you want. It helps the buffer glide a lot nicer. Just gonna fix this up a little bit here as well. There we go. So again, this is the highest point. Come in, nice angle. This time I had my squeegee pointing away from me. Now I'm going to lead it towards me. Could have been done either way though. Nothing's getting stuck. As I approach the body line, you're going to see it will begin to stick. And this is pretty normal with most films. You're going to pressure sensitive film. You're going to really get stuck around the body line because there's pressure against it. We're going to keep going. And this is where having a little bit of detail spray or something on the surface really shines because your squeegee just glides so much better. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of resistance. Push that, it comes right over top of the body line. We'll come across to the other side. Just make sure you're overlapping your passes. We're not leaving any air behind. If you notice larger pockets of air that you have access to, just open it up a little bit with the arrow. Nice. We'll come around. I like to have a center point where I like to work from to each corner. On most hoods, this is the way I would do it with any film. We'll come out a little bit this way. I'm going to trim off a bunch of excess film. I have way too much here. Having too much excess film can just get in your way. It becomes a burden. So I like to trim them off so we have enough to hold on to, but not enough that we're trying to wrap the bumper at the same time. Okay, quick lift. Okay, we're trying to get that little bubble out right there. I'd rather not chance of squeegeeing over since I have close access to it. Quick little pull. There we go. Released. Nice and tight. But not too tight. Perfect. Always firm pressure with your squeegee. I always like to tell people they should squeegee with confidence. You make a mistake, you make a mistake, but if you don't squeegee with confidence, you'll never know. Pull this overhand. I'm going to try and anchor the film more at the body line. We can pull from the body line. If we do happen to get a lift line or adhesive line somehow, it'll at least be on the body line. There we go. I'm going to anchor it to the fender right now since I have so much excess. It's nice, keeps it there because I have that tack reduction on the surface. It's not easy to anchor it on the edges. And then down here we'll fix this up right to this corner here. And we'll fix this up right here as well. Pulling hard, okay? I prefer to do I put a lot more effort into it as opposed to relying on heats. Don't be too gentle though. And then this will just bring back slightly the other way. Do we have a heat gun set up? Yes, we do. So I'll show you something here. So if we take a little bit of heat, and this is the area that I'll add a little bit of heat to just to finish up some of these wrinkles here, you're going to see the film shrink. A lot of us who install, we know this already with a lot of films. And then the other side, I won't use heat at all. Let's do this again in a second. At this point, I don't want to pull hard. I just want to let the film sort of relax in my fingers. Just keep it slightly tight. I won't even put my thumb over top to show you that I'm not really pulling it. I'm just using the tack on my fingers to help keep it a little bit tight. And come in there. Don't squeegee it too quickly when it's hot. You're going to mar the film. Even though it's PPF, it's still not bulletproof. Oh, let's come back and get that one last wrinkle there. There we go. Nice. I'm going to come through here, squeegee my air out towards this end, since this end right over here is closed. We'll open this up. And I try not to work one area too much more than the others, so we try to keep things working as evenly and around as nicely as possible. Symmetry is important. A little bit of tension here, nothing too crazy. We'll deal with that in a second. A bit of a problem area right here, right there. So. So again, we have higher attack on the edge, so it's just a matter of, there we go, getting it up. And it's nice to have the tack reduction, but sometimes it fights you a little bit too. Again, this keeps the finish nice and clean though. So you can move around a little bit, you can lift the film up. We don't have to worry so much about glue lines or adhesive lines. Let's move this back this way a bit. Okay. Okay, we might have to add some heat just to shrink this. This is extra material. This is my first live demo, by the way. I'm always behind the camera. Just be patient. Perfect. It's a little bit more to do at the top. We'll do things a little bit differently on the other side. Good. I'll bring this over just in case. So I'll do mostly cold stretching. I'll try not to add any heat. We'll just use a bit more force this time. Fine with that. On this side, I have to anchor to the underside of the hood because I'm not close enough to the fender. So that's what I'm doing right now. And let's try and take care of this section right here. Nice. There's a reason why I don't want to use too much heat right now. Well, mainly to not, I don't need to really stretch too hard to the edge or overstretch the film. But I'm going to show you what the film can do when you get it to the edge cold. So I know that this area is closed up. I know the bottom section is more or less closed up. We're going to work our air out in here, out to the edge. I'll just open it up at some point. Yep, I'm gonna have to let it in there. There we go. Every single scratch that I'm putting in the surface of the film right now will heat up. 100%. TPU, you're good to go. So don't even worry about that. Go tighter here. There we go. Nice, I have one bubble at the top to take care of. Just check it over. Perfect. So the film is down around the edge, or down around the entire hood right now. Now we have edges to do. Right now the film is, or the hood is elevated, so this should give you a pretty good idea of what the film's about to do. I'm going to heat it on a very high temperature. I'll start from here just so everyone can see a better angle. Which is hot enough. Heat gun set to 1200 degrees right now. That's from here roughly about 2 inches away. And the film's just going to sit down and relax right along that edge. I'll come back the other way a little bit. If we get a little bit of air at the edges, don't worry about it. There's, like I said, there's PPF already on there too. Any of this stuff, just take care of it as soon as you see it. So even though I did cold stretch down to the edge, you can see there's no wrinkles at all. This is going to require more heat because it is a thicker film. We're at 8 mil. So you're going to have to heat this more than your average color change film. Don't be shy. Just don't hold your heat gun there in the same spot for too long. Come around this side. Right now this is a good test to see if you have pullback. So if you have pullback, you should be seeing more fingers pulling up off that edge. I haven't really pressed down on the edge at all right now. I've just let the film hang there. I've dealt with some bubbles, really small ones that might have come up, but otherwise I haven't pressed down on that edge to add any pressure to the film or the adhesive. Get my glove ready. I'll elevate, I'll actually trim the film away from the fender because right now it's sticking to it. At this point, I can also trim away from the back area since I'm standing here right now. I might as well. I'm going to leave myself about a ½ an inch to an inch, roughly. It's always good to leave yourself a little bit more in the beginning before you heat, or before you do your final cuts, or before you decide to roll around, just in case you have to make any corrections. All right, let's finish with the back corner. Yeah, that's good. So I'm going to lead with the heat gun, go over the edge, lead again. And this I do 3 or 4 times. With the heat gun at 12 degrees, 2 inches away or so, point blank, more or less. It doesn't take long to hit post-heat temperatures of around 200, 210, 220. But this film still requires a little bit more than that. So just to show you that the edges are going to relax before we even touch them. So we'll go over them, start on the top side. Oh, caught some creasing there, that was my fault, it got a little bit too hot. There we go, that goes away. Luckily it's on an edge. Come back. So more or less, how I do installations, where the film is hanging right now, that's where I cut. I don't wrap around more than that. You can, but I don't. Just letting you know. It's successful as long as you add the right amount of heat and you make sure you have no tension. My last pass with my thumb, I use my thumb mostly, is basically straight up and down. I don't push underneath. I find that pushing underneath it might not be as consistent or even, but I can easily run my thumb straight up and down and along that edge really nicely and have a very nice line once I finish. Finish up the back side over there. I haven't done the back corners yet because the hood is, it's best to access those when the hood is elevated. Just going to drop the tape here. Perfect. Finish up the corner, not the corner entirely, but just finishing up the corner and getting the air down and out. All right, we're going to go another once over. Make sure this is all nice and tight. I'll lift the hood up and we'll do some cutting. You might be thinking, oh, there's easier stuff to use. Yeah, but you don't get the same result. So you don't get the same type of film. And how long has this really taken with me just talking to you guys too? Perfect. I'm gonna make sure that we're not stuck on the fender on this side. I'll make sure that we're not stuck on this side. And let's lift it in. Perfect. So right about here, you see it's a nice smooth line going all the way across. This is basically where I cut, but I actually don't even cut on the paint. I don't pull my knife towards the paint at all. I cut with my blade running along the underside edge. And I'll try and make this as easy to see as possible. I always have a system. I normally start at the back, but for time purposes, since everyone's watching, we'll start right around here. I'll keep the film tight by pulling down. Pull through. And I'll get out of your way in a second once I get going. I run my knife on the underside edge, just like this. I keep the film pulled tightly down and away from the edge of the hood. And this keeps a nice clean line. My hood's dropping down, so over here. Here we go. I will have to stop somewhere down here because I didn't finish up the back corners yet, but just so you can see. I'll finish up a bit more here. I know what some of you are thinking. Some of you are like, I didn't use any adhesive promoter. I did not go around a 1/4 of an inch or 1/2 an inch. And you're like, this is never going to make it. It's going to make it, trust me. Because the next step is another important step. It's just adding more heat. When you're holding your knife and you're cutting like this, it's typically best to hold it the way you're most used to. For me, it's holding it like I write. So, okay, I didn't do the back corners like I said, but we'll come around the front edge here, we'll add some heat and finish up that stuff. This is going to be a minimum of 2 passes, usually 2 to 3. I'll start down here, make sure the heat gets nice and hot. First pass, a little bit lighter on the heat, this way you don't wrinkle or crease anything. The second pass, once you get the film down, you can go a lot heavier with the heat. And you're way less likely to crease it since the film is already down. You can go even a third time, nice and close, I'm an inch away, 1200-degree heat gun, right? Nothing's on fire, nothing's melting, nothing's smoking. Sometimes it does, though. Come across the front. We have to heat after cutting, because if we don't, that edge is still elevated. You might look just very slightly, you'll see that that edge It's just slightly elevated. Sometimes less than that, sometimes more than that. But we do want to make sure that that edge does go down with ease. Again, there's no film there. There's nothing left to hang on to anymore. So if I was going to have a problem right now, it would be a problem, it'd be a real problem. If it was going to pull off or pull back. And you can honestly do this as many times as you want until you feel comfortable. Uncomfortable. So if you want to have a closer look, you can see what the edge looks like. It's a little deceiving because it's sort of a greenish color on green, but you can go ahead and have a look. It's a little rough. There was, from removing the previous wrap, a little bit of adhesive left over. And there is, remember, there is PPF bulk installed on the hood already. That does wrap further in, not where mine is. Again, you don't have to do it like this. If you want to wrap in further, you're more comfortable with that, that is totally up to you. How you do your installations and what you're comfortable with and how long it's going to last and so forth. If you try to flick the edge up, it's not really easy to get. Okay? So opening your hood up and filling up your washer fluid, for some people blinker fluid, and someone got it. And you know, as many times as you do that, you're going to be fine. You're not going to lift the film up from the edge of the hood. When it comes to doing the corners, we don't have many corners on this, but it's a very similar process. The fact that I didn't add really any heated stretch, just all cold stretching, get everything down. The back corners of the hood are not going to be much different. It's very tricky to show everyone that, but all you do, let your film sit on the corner, heat it, add heat, you're going to see it fall down around the corner. I take my thumb, as I do with the edge of the hood, I massage it down the rest of the way, I heat it a little bit more, I check with my squeegee to see, I put it right underneath the corner, just to check to see how it looks, to see how pretty it looks, maybe if I can get it right underneath there, and I cut. And I leave zero film on the underside of corners. No pulling at all anymore. You might have seen some older videos and stuff where I was doing 3D stretching, but that will leave lines in the finish. So we can put the hood down. Actually, let me cut off this extra film right here. But yeah, it will even leave lines in other finishes. So I found that it wasn't necessarily the best way. You want to see it? Go ahead. But with this being anything with an ultra gloss or a very high gloss finish, you definitely don't want to do that. I best learned that lesson when I started installing chrome wraps, because chrome doesn't like to be stretched at all. Right? So it's all about avoiding stretch if you can. But again, I didn't do the corners, but you can see the finish of the hood. I mean, other than the PPF having some speckling in it from before, it's minimal lift lines, glue lines, or anything of the sort. Simply because we lowered the adhesion by using a tack reducer of their slip solution, which is the foam potion. So 2-in-1 product, which is great. You get 2 uses out of it if you're doing clear PPF already. But this does install very much like a dry application film. So anything that you're doing color change already, it's very, very similar. It's going to feel thicker, of course, we're at 8 mil, while most are 4 or 5-ish. We're almost double that. But again, the benefits of scratch resistance, self-healing, luster in color, definition, high definition. Like look at your face, you can count your eyelashes off the reflection of that. It's really impressive. The corner almost went down by itself, just the way that on this side it did. But yeah, I elevate the corners, and this would be too tricky to show everyone, but I would lift the hood up, I just elevate the corner, I heat it, it's going to fall down around it. I can actually show you guys in a little bit on the rear spoiler. I'll take a small piece and I'll show you guys. But give me 15 minutes or so and I'll show you the corners on the spoiler on the back. This is a new generation of color change film. This will be in mattes and glosses, and it's something that, why would you go with a film that can scratch, that can stone chip, that that doesn't have the luster and the gloss and the depth and the definition, why would you do that? Especially when you're going with gloss. Even the mattes and the satins are beautiful. Because we're at a TPU level, a tier above cast. Right. Hope you guys enjoy.
How are you liking that PPF?